Greetings everyone. It's Shadow Leon 659 once again. And so, you're wondering what I'm doing for today. Well, I'm having another one of my movie debates, which I haven't done in quite a while and whatnot. So anyway, if you're wondering what today's movie debate is going to be about. It's going to be about Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island versus the 2002 live-action Scooby-Doo movie. So anyway, for those of you people who may not know, Zombie Island is easily my favorite Scooby-Doo film of all time. I've loved it since childhood and whatnot, along with its three follow-ups being Witch's Ghost, Space Invaders, and last but not least, Cyber Chase and whatnot. So yeah, Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island came around the time in where, the Scooby-Doo franchise, its popularity was pretty much lying at the bottom of the ocean and whatnot because people were getting sick and tired of Scooby-Doo, the formula became repetitive and whatnot. So eventually Zombie Island was released, and it and its subsequent follow-ups eventually saved, should I say, the franchise and whatnot. And I have noticed so many similarities about these two movies. Both movies open with, should I say, the gang in the middle of a monster chase and whatnot. Then as usual, it's revealed the monster is fake and whatnot. Then later on, the gang eventually break up and go their separate ways. Sometime later, the gang eventually reunite and whatnot. And eventually they're both, should I say, invited to some mysterious island where supposed supernatural stuff is going on and whatnot. So, and then afterwards they're invited by somebody who seems to be a benevolent figure and whatnot. And then of course supernatural stuff starts occurring and whatnot. At first the gang are skeptical to whether it's real or not, until eventually the monsters are later revealed to be real and all that stuff. Both movies also have a thing about a ritual and whatnot. And last but not least, Shaggy and Scooby seem to have an obsession with eating chili peppers. So anyway, those are where the similarities end for both movies. Zombie Island was a large part of my childhood and whatnot, and even to this day I still love that film with all my ever-living heart. I mean, seeing the gang go their separate ways in that movie was pretty much emotional and heartbreaking, where we saw the gang doing different jobs, like Daphne hosting her own show and Fred being the camera operator, Velma owning her own bookstore, and Shaggy and Scooby working in airport security. So eventually afterwards, like I said, they unite and whatnot, and so eventually they meet Simone and Lena, who say something about their island being haunted by the ghost of Captain Moonscar and whatnot. And so of course, we are given three suspects and all that stuff, in where it is either the fisherman, voiced by Mark Hamill, the gardener, Bo Neville, and the ferryman, Jacques, Jim Cummings' character and everything. I really love this movie for what it is and whatnot. It has great animation, amazing vocal performances, and this movie goes for a darker and edgier tone. You actually feel that the gang are in peril and whatnot, and feeling that they are going to die and everything. And man, the shocking reveal that Simone and Lena were the villains this whole time was something unexpected, and where they transform into werecats and whatnot. And where they transform into vicious werecats and whatnot, who drain the life force out of people in order to sustain their immortality and everything. And who could ever forget those two kick-ass songs? The Ghost is Here and It's Terror Time Again, done by Sky Cycle and whatnot. So yeah, those are why I love Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island so much. I know, here's an interesting fun fact about Zombie Island. It was cannibalized from an unmade episode of SWAT Cats The Radical Squadron called Succubus or Queen Cataluna. If that episode was made, it would have been freaking awesome, but sadly we don't always get good things. But on the positive side of that unmade SWAT Cats episode, we did get the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest Eclipse and the aforementioned Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. As I mentioned before, the 4 original direct-to-video movies, Witch's Ghost, Zombie Island, Cyber Chase, and, Space Invaders, pretty much have a similar art style as the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, as they were done by the same company and whatnot. So yeah, let us talk about the 2002 film. This was a film in where, should I say, I had mixed feelings. I actually loved it when I was a kid and whatnot. But then, as I started growing up, I started having more mixed feelings on the movie and whatnot. And even to this day, I have mixed feelings on the movie and all that stuff. Personally, between the 2 theatrically released live-action films, I prefer Monsters Unleashed, because Monsters Unleashed at least felt more like the show and whatnot. I just don't know. I'm just not too big on the adult humor in this and whatnot. And also, at times it can get childish and all that stuff. I think it was Roger Ebert who said it best. It is too scary for kids, it is too stupid for teenagers, and it is too boring for adults. Yes, I know Rambo Rap for Life prefers, should I say, the first live-action film over the second one, but that's one of those times where I disagree with him and whatnot and think that the sequel was much better. Well, but if there's one good thing that this movie gave us, it did give us Matthew Lillard, who's the definitive Shaggy. I mean, his performance was so well received, in fact, that in 2009, the late Casey Kasem retired due to health issues, and Matthew has been the voice of Shaggy Rogers ever since that day. So yeah, that's one of the best things we got about it. And of course, this was a movie where they made Scrappy-Doo the villain and all that stuff. Now let us talk about Scrappy-Doo. As a kid, I wasn't exactly too fond of the character. I didn't really hate the character and whatnot. I thought that it was pretty funny to see Scrappy-Doo as being revealed to be the villain and all that stuff. And yes, we all know the infamous Scrappy-Doo hate and everything, to the point that I never hated Scrappy when I was a kid. I just said that he was there, I guess. But to be fair, when Scooby-Doo went into a sort of dark age, he didn't essentially cause Scooby-Doo's downfall. In fact, people tend to forget that he actually saved the franchise from fading into obscurity and whatnot, because the franchise was actually dwindling in popularity and everything. And so, our canal villain was played by Rowan Atkinson and all that stuff. Mr. Bean himself playing a villain. Now that's something you don't see every day. In fact, it was something that I didn't really notice. No, actually I did know who Mr. Bean was as a kid, but I wasn't too familiar with the name Rowan Atkinson. I just would say, oh look, it's Mr. Bean playing the villain and whatnot. So yeah, that was my movie debate and all that stuff. And if you're wondering which of the 2 movies do I prefer between, Zombie Island and the 2002 movie, the answer is simple, my friend. Zombie Island is by far the better movie in my opinion and all that stuff, because, Zombie Island was what saved the Scooby-Doo franchise from fading into obscurity and everything. So yeah, the reason why I made this video is because, to celebrate Velma's cancellation and all that stuff, because let's just say we can fuck Velma all the way to Neptune. And it's made me appreciate the first 2 live-action films, mostly the second one, even more. So anyway, that was the end of my movie debate. What do you think of, should I say, my film debates? And which of the 2 do you think is better? Let me know in the comments section down below, and thanks for watching as always. Don't forget to subscribe. Shadow Leon 659 signing out.